Now, of course, a conflict within Labour, a conflict outside of Labour. The Prime Minister has got people on all sides gunning for him. But he had some choice words to say on the eve of the anniversary of him becoming Prime Minister. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say the words that he described himself as. Shall we have a listen?
We also need to emphasise the very many good things we have done. Yes, that's been because we've pushed through on them, but they've made a material difference. I'm really proud of that, and we'll keep on punching through. I'm a hard enough finding out who it was who said that, so I can have a discussion with him.
Now, he said, I'm a hard enough. We actually bleeped it out there, so we couldn't actually say the word. I'm not sure if we're allowed to at this time of the day on polite television, but it began with a B and ended with a D.
Yeah, I think, in podcasting, you can say things you don't say on normal broadcast. You can be a bit more fruity with your language, and he was there. I mean, he says he's a hard, that word, because...
hard enough.
Hard enough, because he plays football hard. So, he goes in hard and is a tough guy. He has done quite well, I would argue, on the international stage. He's got
Chopper,
3 trade deals.
I've just heard in my ear that we are allowed to say the word, but Ofcom guidance says that we must apologise afterwards. So, exclusively here on Good Afternoon Britain, not exclusively at all, the Prime Minister called himself a hard bastard. And I'm sorry if anyone was offended by the use of that word, but I'm glad that we can all say that now.
Bizarre.
Yes, and I think that's because he sees himself on the world stage as getting a good deal for Britain. He has done that with the Indian trade deal. He's got more and more encroachment into this Pan-Pacific trade partnership. He's got this deal with the European Union, a deal of sorts with America. He has done quite well on the global stage. The problem with calling himself that term is that he doesn't appear to be that with his own backbench MPs. This week, he's been rolled over on benefit cuts. That didn't happen, Tom, as you were saying earlier this week, to Tony Blair. After a year of him in power, he saw down those charges, and that term, that rude word, was used by John Major to describe Eurosceptic people in his cabinet. It's a term which can go both ways, but he sees himself as being a tough guy, and when he does need to be tough with colleagues, he can be tough. And just finally, on this podcast with the BBC's Nick Robinson, he also said he shared family values with Donald Trump. Now, in the briefing with Number 10 spokesman an hour or so ago, I said, well, what do you mean? Have they met the families together? And they wouldn't go there. But according to Number 10, the PM and President have a close and constructive working relationship, with a positive working relationship. But he declined to say whether they've met each other's families.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Christopher Hope, our political editor. Always fantastic to speak to you.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Bit of a rude word on a podcast from the Prime Minister.
So much more to discuss, though. So joining us is the political commentator Dominic Moffat and Reform UK London Assembly member Alex Wilson. Let's kick off with this new challenge, I suppose. New challenger party. Dominic, we're going to start with you. Keir Starmer must be worried about this.
Well, good afternoon, Tom and Emily. And to be honest, I don't think he's worried about this at all. I suspect, actually, the Labour leadership is delighted. You talked about egos. Jeremy Corbyn and his massive ego has gone off and has finally decided to form, and here's my name suggestion for the party, the Independent Group for Hope. Because just like the Independent Group for Change, I think you're going to see this as nothing more than a brief flash of some ego followed by electoral disaster for them.
Is that wishful thinking, though, Alex? You're a Reform UK London Assembly member. You've seen how a party with a big frontman can take a lot of votes, in terms of share at least.
Yeah, absolutely. But also seen how difficult it is to get a new party off the ground. I mean, it took an awful lot of work and time and effort from initially a very small but committed team to get Reform UK into the position that we were by the time of the general election last year. Obviously, the return of Nigel as leader midway through that campaign gave us a huge boost, about a 5-point boost in the polls during the campaign, and everything that's happened since has been phenomenal. The growth of the party membership, the polling, council by-election results, the local election results just a month or two ago. But it's not easy. We have an electoral system that makes it, deliberately makes it difficult for new insurgent parties to break through. And if Corbyn wants to throw his effort behind that, then that's up to him. Obviously, I disagree with pretty much everything that he stands for. But it's kind of symptomatic of where the British political system is at the moment, dissatisfaction with Labour, been in power for just 1 year, and already the wheels have well and truly come off.
Well, Dominic, let's put that point to you. Is this party a symptom of a wider malaise? People are feeling like the country's not going in the right direction. You've seen a massively fractured electorate in the polls. People are turning to all sorts of different parties. But one thing's for clear, the Labour Party isn't polling where it was this time last year.
No, absolutely not. And we're a year on today from the general election, and the PLMR and electoral calculus poll ended up showing that Labour was on course to get about 20% of the vote across the country and not leading in a single region. Reform was leading in every single region except for Scotland, where the SNP obviously were leading. And the answer to that is yes, that Reform and Jeremy Corbyn's new party are in many ways symptoms of exactly the same thing, a sense that politics isn't delivering for people. And that's what Number 10 is going to be focusing on. And that's what Number 10 is focusing on at this anniversary. You see them come out and talk about 4 million extra NHS appointments, the launch of GBNews, the launch of nationalised railways, breakfast clubs, school nurseries, more workers' rights, and triple lot guaranteed. These are the things that, if delivered properly by the end of this parliament, the public are going to react well to. And that's the strategy that Number 10 are predicating their election on.
Now, Alex Wilson, there will be some of our viewers who say, you know, this is great. The left are splintering themselves, causing themselves problems, makes it less likely that Labour will win the next election, makes it more likely that a party like yours, the Reform Party, will become the next government. But what does this all say about the state of our country, the state of our politics? Is there a concern in your mind that we're entering dangerous territory, more sectarian politics, you know, appealing to groups based on foreign conflicts, for example, the Gaza issue, or based along religious or ethnic lines?
I think that is a concern, and we've seen the so-called protests that have been happening near enough every week in London. I don't call them protests, I call them hate marches, because a lot of the people that are on those are driven by anti-Semitism, and this now creating a political vehicle to capitalise on that in certain parts of the country could be very worrying indeed. But the broader picture is one of Labour failure in their year in office. And the two big issues that most people care about on a daily basis, the economy, where Rachel Reeves has absolutely devastated small businesses, hospitality, retail, with her jobs tax, the assault on the farmers, the sort of toing and froing over the winter fuel allowance, absolute shambles from top to bottom. And then on immigration, where Keir Starmer came to power saying he would smash the gangs, all he's managed to do is smash the records. We've had, I think, 44,000 illegal boat crossings since Keir Starmer became Prime Minister. I think that's around 40% up on the previous year, 20,000 plus this year alone. He's lost the grip of his party, as we saw with the U-turn over the welfare bill, and he's lost his grip on the country as a whole.
OK, well, let's put that to Dominic. We're running out of time, Alex. I just want to put that to Dominic. How should Labour respond to this new threat?
They should absolutely welcome it. It will split the left-wing vote between the Lib Dems, the Greens and this new party, and also take votes from Reform, because there are lots of people voting for Reform who were supporting the Labour Party.
OK, well, short and sweet. Dominic Moffat and Alex Wilson, thank you very much indeed for your time this afternoon. Have a lovely weekend.